Some thoughts hurt the body before they even become conscious in the mind. Silences that inflame, memories that tighten the chest, and fears that settle deep within as if they were part of our physical structure. For many, this seems purely psychological, but the truth runs deeper. What you feel and believe doesn't stop at the mind. It descends. It penetrates. It vibrates. It transforms your biology like a silent code writing stories into your cells. And yet, we continue living as if we're prisoners of an unchangeable genetic destiny. As if our pain, illness, and emotional patterns were the fault of an inherited legacy we cannot question. But why do we still believe this, even after so many discoveries in epigenetics? Why, despite so much research showing that the environment shapes gene expression, do we insist on viewing the body as a passive stage determined by fixed codes? The question that truly shifts everything isn't scientific. It's existential. What if it's not your genes, but your beliefs, that are governing your body? This is the revolution Bruce Lipton initiated. By discovering that genes don't express themselves in a vacuum, but in response to the cellular environment, and that this environment is shaped by both external and internal signals, he opened a new portal of understanding about who we really are. What he calls the internal environment is the sum of your mind, your emotional chemistry, and your energetic vibration. In other words, what you believe, feel, and silently sustain within yourself informs your cells how to behave. This is not just about positive thinking. It's about coherence. Sustained vibration. Invisible patterns that, when repeated frequently, become treated by the body as absolute truths. And this is where the hidden impact of beliefs resides. Because they don't just shape how you see life, they alter your hormones, your immune system, your cellular regeneration, and yes, even how you manifest reality. The connection between mind, emotion, and body is no longer a metaphor, it's physiology. It's as if every thought were a vibrational seed thrown into the field of the body. A seed that blooms into chemistry, energy, and frequency. And when those seeds are repeated beliefs of fear, guilt, inadequacy, or abandonment, your inner garden collapses. Your vibration contracts. Your biology enters defense mode. Your nervous system begins operating on constant alert. And the body, unaware that it's reacting to an illusion, begins to deteriorate as if it were facing a real danger. In this video, we'll walk together through this territory where spirituality and science intertwine. Where emotions aren't just feelings, but cellular messages. Where healing isn't just the absence of pain, but a vibrational return to coherence. Because maybe, just maybe, your pain isn't a mistake, but a calling. A reminder from the body saying, listen. What you believe, I manifest. And what if it's true that you're not broken, just operating with an old program? A program that can be rewritten, not with catchy phrases, but with conscious intention, felt emotion, and vibrational presence. This is the journey that begins now. Close your eyes for a moment. Recall a time when you felt real fear. Maybe it was unexpected news, a painful absence, or even just a look that hurt more than words. Even now, simply evoking that memory might make your body react. A slight tightness in your stomach. Shorter breaths. A slightly quicker heartbeat. None of these reactions depended on anything happening right now. It was just a thought. But the body responded as if it were real. This is one of the greatest secrets of neuroscience applied to spirituality. The brain doesn't differentiate between what is lived and what is vividly imagined. It simply reacts to signals. And the most powerful signals it recognizes come from emotion. When you repeat an idea with emotional charge, it becomes a vibrational pattern. And that pattern begins to activate hormonal circuits that, repeated long enough, become your biological norm. This is how chronic states of stress, anxiety, and emotional disorders are born, not from a single event, but from the vibrational echo of recurring thoughts and beliefs. The body, saturated with cortisol and adrenaline, enters a continuous survival mode. And this state, though invisible, alters your cells, inflames your tissues, and reduces your capacity for spontaneous healing. Science has already acknowledged this through the placebo and nocebo effects. When someone truly believes that a remedy will heal them, even if the pill is just sugar, the body responds as if it were real. The pain eases. Test results change. Biology reacts to belief. The opposite is also true. When someone believes something is harmful, even when it isn't, the body falls ill as a response to fear. This isn't magic. It's physiology based on perception. Now imagine your body as a biological instrument, an incredibly sensitive hardware. But what makes this hardware function are the programs it runs. These programs are not in your muscles or organs. They reside in the beliefs you learned, inherited, or internalized in early childhood. These beliefs, often unconscious, act as operating systems shaping your physical, emotional, and even spiritual responses. If you were conditioned to believe the world is dangerous, your body will remain in constant vigilance. If you learn that love hurts or that you're unworthy of being seen, your cells will hear that as a silent command. It doesn't matter how much your conscious mind wants the opposite, the body responds to what's programmed in the subconscious. It follows the deepest vibrational frequency, not the surface-level desire. These software systems are installed long before we are aware of what we're choosing. Often, they are emotional inheritances passed down through looks, silences, unspoken fears. That's why change is so difficult using reason alone. Because the body doesn't obey logic, it obeys vibration. And what happens when a strong emotion is felt, but not expressed? When fear is swallowed, anger is silenced, grief is denied. The body doesn't ignore that. It records it, stores it, and begins to react as if it were in an invisible battlefield. Chronic stress often doesn't come from too many tasks, but from the lack of emotional expression. Cortisol rises. Inflammation sets in. And cells, instead of being in growth and regeneration mode, go into defense. Medicine already recognizes that repressed emotions are directly linked to autoimmune diseases, persistent depression, and hormonal imbalances. But few realize that this process isn't punishment, it's a cry for help. It's the body saying, "I'm carrying what you couldn't feel." And that's not weakness. It's biological loyalty. Your cells are faithful to what you believe, what you feel, and what you avoid facing. That's why healing isn't just about changing habits. It's about shifting the vibrational field that sustains your inner states. And that field begins with reconciliation. With permission to feel. With welcoming the pain that still echoes. Because, deep down, every illness is a way for the body to scream what the soul has been whispering. And every true healing begins when you choose to listen. There is something about the heart that goes beyond the physical. Far beyond its rhythmic beats and its role of pumping blood. The heart is a center of energetic intelligence, an electromagnetic field more powerful than that of any other organ. This field, confirmed by neuroscience and studied by the HeartMath Institute, extends outside the body and can be measured several feet away. But what few understand is that it continuously transmits the frequency of your internal state. It is like a vibrational radio station, emitting signals that influence your environment and shape your perception. When mind and emotion are in coherence, that is, when what you think aligns with what you feel, the heart's field organizes itself, expands, and emits a frequency of order. This order, in turn, attracts similar experiences, as if the entire universe were responding to what you're tuning into. It's not about attracting through mental effort, but about resonating with what is harmonious within. That's why people who live in a constant state of gratitude, even without obvious external reasons, seem to walk surrounded by an aura of peace that transforms everything around them. It's not coincidence. It's cardiac coherence. The heart's vibrational field influences the nervous system, affects the brain, and even alters the signals your cells receive. It is, literally, your soul's vibration operating your reality. Many have heard about positive affirmations. Repeating phrases like, "I am prosperous, I am loved, I am healthy." But why, for so many, do these phrases not work? The answer lies in the gap between what the mind repeats and what the body believes. Affirmations are like seeds sown in the field of consciousness, but if the vibrational soil is hardened by unhealed pain, by deeply rooted beliefs of lack, or by unprocessed emotional memories, the seed won't grow. Manifestation doesn't happen with thoughts alone, it happens with the vibration of the whole body. It's not enough to say. You have to feel. You have to embody the new state as if it were already true, even before anything outside confirms it. This is what Joe Dispenza calls, creating the future in the present. Not waiting to believe after things change, but vibrating now what you wish to experience. This is why so many attempts at change fail, because the mind says, "I deserve love," but the body still carries the fear of abandonment. Because the mind desires abundance, but the cells still vibrate with the trauma of loss. The body isn't stubborn, it just responds to the dominant vibration. That's why true reprogramming begins when the body feels safe enough to release the old state. There is a path. One that unites science, spirituality, and practice. It doesn't require hours of study or complex rituals. It only requires presence and sincere intention. Sit comfortably. Place one hand over your heart. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly through your nose, and exhale softly through your mouth. 3 times. Allow the breath to bring you back to now. Feel the touch of your hand on your chest. Feel the warmth pulsing beneath. Now bring to mind an image that makes you feel gratitude, something small but true. It could be a gesture, a memory, or simply the feeling of being alive in this moment. Let that gratitude grow, even if it still feels subtle. Breathe into it. Now, direct that emotion into a clear intention. Something you wish to manifest, not with anxiety, but with presence. See yourself already living it. Feel your body reacting as if it were real. Bring colors, textures, scents, sensations. See yourself fully in this new reality, but don't watch from outside. Be inside. Breathe as someone already living it. Walk internally with this vibration. And gently say in thought, "My body believes. My heart leads. I vibrate the frequency of my truth." This simple ritual, even if it only lasts 3 minutes, is more powerful than hours of mental effort. Because it creates a vibrational field of coherence between emotion, intention, and biology. And the body responds. It doesn't live in the past. It lives in the now. And if now you vibrate a new frequency, the universe listens. The body is a quantum channel. It doesn't need the past to decide the present. It needs an authentic vibrational now. And each time you practice this coherence, you rewrite not only your energy, but your biology. There's a kind of code that isn't found in DNA but directly influences its activation. It's a vibrational code, emotional, invisible to the eye, yet real to the cells. That code is belief. What you believe, with emotional intensity, acts as a biological switch. It turns genes on or off, stimulates or inhibits hormones, heals or harms. And unlike fixed genetic code, beliefs can be redefined. Science already recognizes the impact of emotion on gene regulation. Practices like gratitude, forgiveness, and self-compassion aren't just spiritual virtues. They activate brain regions linked to well-being, reduce systemic inflammation, and shift hormonal patterns associated with stress and pain. Bruce Lipton was among the first to show that the emotional environment inside us, created by our beliefs, can influence cellular behavior more than the genes themselves. That's why when someone truly forgives, the body breathes differently. When someone allows themselves to feel gratitude, even digestion improves. When someone accepts themselves with kindness, the immune system strengthens. These are small internal shifts that rewrite the vibrational code through which the body operates. And there are surprising cases of spontaneous remission, cancers that disappear, diagnoses that dissolve, chronic pain that vanishes without medical explanation. But perhaps, the explanation lies in the deep transformation of belief. When the body truly believes it can heal, it activates dormant mechanisms. Because healing is not magic. It's vibrational coherence in motion. Every belief carries an identity. I'm weak, I'm unwanted, I'm invisible. These are more than phrases, they are identity narratives shaping the way the body functions. When you unconsciously sustain these identities, your cells receive instructions to operate within that pattern. But there's a turning point. A silent moment, often preceded by pain or exhaustion, in which something inside says, I am not this anymore. And that small rupture in the pattern, is all the body needs to begin changing. When identity changes, the body follows. Not instantly. Not like magic. But like a river that slowly shifts its course. The inner language transforms. The reflection in the mirror softens. The narrative stops being about victimhood and becomes about creation. And what once was pain becomes portal. Rewriting your identity is reprogramming your physiology. It's not about denial, but about release. It's not about forgetting the past, but no longer letting it dictate your present. This is spiritual epigenetics, a science of consciousness that gently says, you are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to sustain now. Her name was Anna. She was just over 40 when she received a serious diagnosis. Autoimmune, progressive, with no apparent cure. She cried for days, unable to look at her own children without feeling a knot in her stomach. Until one day, in a moment of calm despair, she decided to write a letter to herself. A letter that began with, Dear body, I hear you now. And there, between trembling words and raw truths, she saw, it wasn't just the illness that had paralyzed her. It was the story she'd been telling herself since childhood. The story that she had to sacrifice to be loved. The story that being strong meant never resting. The story that her pain was smaller than everyone else's, and therefore should be silenced. Anna began changing that story. One paragraph at a time. She added meditations, breathed with presence, cried out what had been repressed for decades. She started repeating soft words before sleep. She began living as if her body were a temple, not a threat. And something began to shift. Slowly, but steadily. Her tests improved. her symptoms regressed. And what doctors called a miracle, she called a reunion. Because what changed wasn't just the body. It was the story. The vibration. The belief. And that story echoes as a quiet reminder. Sometimes what we call a miracle is simply biology responding to a new frequency. The body never lies. It doesn't interpret, disguise, or theorize. It simply responds. With chemistry, with rhythm, with symptoms, with silence. And its response is always loyal to what you most consistently sustain within. Unspoken emotions, beliefs you inherited without questioning, thoughts that repeat like hidden mantras, all of this translates into cellular responses, hormonal states, vibrations that precisely shape your external reality. Biology is plastic. It changes. It adapts. It rebuilds itself daily. But for that reconstruction to align with your essence, the environment guiding it must be true. And the most powerful environment is not what surrounds you, it's what you cultivate inside. It's your emotional field. It's the frequency you feed with your attention and presence. It's the vibrational quality with which you greet yourself in the morning. That's why you're not a victim of genetics. You never were. You are the author of your vibrational physiology. Every cell in your body listens to what you believe. Every organ responds to what you allow yourself to feel. Your biology is not separate from your consciousness, it mirrors it. And the right belief, the one that transforms your chemistry and your life, is not necessarily the most beautiful or positive. It's the most authentic. The one that vibrates in coherence with your heart. The one you don't just say, but feel. The one you don't just want, but embody. The one you don't just repeat, but live. So today, the invitation is not to think differently. It's to sustain differently. To feel differently. To vibrate differently. To gently observe the beliefs your body is still obeying. And to ask yourself, with kindness, does this story still serve me? Does this vibration still define me? You still have time. But the soul's timing doesn't wait forever. And the body, it's already listening now. May your consciousness be the space where healing begins. May your heart be the field where your new reality blossoms. And may you always remember that you are not alone, the universe hears what you vibrate. And it responds in the same language, frequency.